I've got some questions for you, and I want you to respond with a show of hands, if you will. How many of you can remember a time when this country seemed less divided? Raise it real high. Okay. How many of you can remember a time when families seemed more connected? Raise your hand. When values, things we held near and dear, seemed more clearly defined. When the definition of right and wrong wasn't ambiguous. Raise your hand. A time when we took more pride in God and country and weren't afraid to say so. Raise your hand. So many of you raised your hand, which means things have changed, and we could even say declined. The statistics tell us that there has been a decline of religion's influence on society, and that it's led to a change in the way that we actually live. Now, there's more divorce and just living together, and that's become more acceptable, almost expected, actually. And declining religion, which has dropped below 50% for the first time in our country's history, leads to fewer and later marriages, and that means fewer children, and that means less organized religion, and that means more divorce, and by definition, that leads to more children of divorce, which leads to fewer marriages, which leads to declining religion. And around we go. It's all linked. And the benefit of having faith in God is not some vague notion, it's demonstrably helpful. Our founders saw that and they protected it in our Constitution. And in 2020, church membership for the United States, as I say, dropped below 50% for the first time in our country's history. Now, about 6,000 to 10,000 churches close down every year. In the past 30 years, the number of Americans who said they never attended religious services doubled. Christianity is shrinking. It was 90% in 1972, 54% in 2020. Now, trends indicate this will continue to decline over the next 50 years. And most unaffiliated are young. 69% are under 50 and 63% of those are white. Now you may think, okay, Dr. Phil, you're just Bible thumping. I haven't gone preacher on you. Lord knows that. I'm talking about psychosocial data. Empirical facts bear out the connection. For example, religious service attendance is associated with a 50% lower divorce rate. Women who never attended church, their fertility rate is around 1.3 children versus 2.1 for women who attended weekly. Now, is that important to our society? Well, yeah, it is. We can't sustain our infrastructure at 1.3. We can sustain it at 2.1. Actively religious people tend to be happier, less stressed, and less prone to substance abuse. That's a fact. Whether you think, well, you're just pushing religion, I'm just telling you the facts. I'm just telling you the fact that people are less stressed when they go to church. Now, here's the question. Why? Why the trend? Could it be that society, all of us, are just morally corrupt? Are we just less grounded? Or could it be that organized religion is just missing the mark? They're not reading the room. Maybe they're not feeding the flock, as they say. Because more and more, people just don't seem to be interested in buying what they're selling. Could that be it? Well, tonight, we're taking a hard, no-holds-barred look at the disconnection, because there is a disconnection. You can't deny that. And that's not good for society. You can't deny that. Now, joining me tonight is senior pastor at St. Luke Community United Methodist Church here in Dallas, Texas, Richie Butler, who says organized religion is essential for the success of this country.
We just want to take over Dallas and let the world know about St. Luke Nation and the God we serve.
We haven't done a great job as a faith community meeting people where they are. I think we expect people to just show up to the front door of the church, and people today have options. We need religion because it allows us to recognize what is right, what is wrong. It also offers us a place to live out who we are and to connect with our potential, our promise, and our purpose. I advocate for organized religion. We are not islands unto ourselves. We were made to be in community, to be in connection with each other. We have some major social ills in our society, such as homelessness, families are dysfunctional, mental health issues, gun violence. And I believe religion can help us address and speak to those issues. Mother Teresa put it this way: together we can change the world. And that is the power of religion. To the people who have left the church, I want to offer a fresh reset. Let's journey together, fulfill your God-given potential. To my brothers and sisters of the LGBTQ community, I believe there is a place for you in God's church. The world is not a monolith. God created us diverse for a reason. And for us to think that everybody needs to fit in one box is problematic, and I think takes away from the uniqueness that God created us all to be. As religious leaders, as people of faith, we have to own our sins as an institution. People have been hurt by the church. We have protected people who have been predators. The church has endorsed institutional things like slavery. As faith leaders, we have to own that and say, we're not going to get stuck in what we did, but we want to offer a way forward that recognizes our wrongs. The future is about faith and it's about love.
Say the sun is going to shine.
Well, Pastor, thank you for being here.
Glad to be with you.
I said when I was kind of introducing this whole thing tonight that maybe churches are missing the mark. What's the ownership that the church has to take in that?
I think the church has to own it. I liken it to the fact that today everybody uses, iPhones, Android. The church is still using a rotary system. And I think we have to recognize the message, the communication doesn't shift, but the tool that we're leveraging to connect and reach people, I think we have to think about what that looks like.
You got to meet people where they are.
Yes.
And instead of expecting them to meet you where you are.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem to be happening.
That's true. I mean, I think we open our doors on Sunday and expect people, to just show up. So when I grew up, on Sundays, we had blue laws. Nothing was open.
Right.
Today, everything's open. Today, parents have to compete with taking their kids to church or soccer, baseball games, all activities are happening. So there isn't this concept, just a sacred hour. We have to acknowledge that. We have to help people understand that we're going to figure out, maybe it's Saturday evening, maybe it's Sunday afternoon. We have to be flexible and connect where people are.
Oh, I grew up at the Baptist church. We had to go every time the door was open.